I'm joined in the studio now by Judy Wade, who's been the royal correspondent for Hello magazine for nearly 30 years, and also joining us is the royal commentator and historian Kate Williams. Good evening to you both. Thank you both for being here. Judy, tell me first, what's been your experience of covering the Queen over all these years?
I just find that the real Queen, the Queen that I've got to know, I think is so different from the public image of this reticent, very modest woman. She is like that, but also I think everybody's favourite memory of her is as a Bond girl. And I loved that night. I was at the...
Who knew she could parachute like that?
Exactly, and the frilly knickers were nice.
Yes.
But I think that night, Kenneth Branagh presented her with a BAFTA, and then he said there are a lot of industry people here tonight who've got some scripts and new projects that they'd love to work with you on, even without Daniel Craig. And it was a great, great night, and she loved it.
Kate, I described her as stoical there, the very model of stoicism. Is that something to do more with her generation rather than the woman herself?
I think it's a combination of both of them. I think that the Queen herself is the epitome of it. It's a rather overused slogan, isn't it? But keep calm and carry on. That's really the way she deals with a life that is changeable, is quite stressful, and was a life that she was never expected to take part in, since she was never expected to be Queen.
And an incredibly long life as well.
Incredibly long life, and certainly, but being a war baby, being evacuated during the war, away from her parents, and also taking part in the forces. She was part of the ATS. She served in the forces. That really has instilled in her the idea of stoicism and dedication and duty and sacrifice, it really has set the bar of monarchy quite hard to follow.
And she's broken a record today by becoming the first British monarch to reach her 10th decade.
10th decade, yeah. She's beat it. Before we had Victoria and George III were quite old, but nowhere near like Her Majesty, and she's, of course, in much better health than either of them ever were.
And a happier day today than reaching the record for being the longest reigning monarch, because, of course, that had to start with the death of her own father.
The death of her father, and in her view, he died very young. He was in his 50s, and that's why she was overseas in Kenya. It was not expected to happen. So the death of her father was devastating for the princess, and then became the Queen. And for her, it is always a very bittersweet moment celebrating jubilees and coronations, but this one is purely a celebration. It was wonderful to be down there at Windsor, seeing the smile on her face, seeing how thrilled she was to see the cake and then meet the 90-year-olds, and see all those people who turned out to see her and were just delighted to just see her walking around.
Because, Judy, I can't think of anyone in the world living who is better known.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was looking at the crowds today and thinking, how many young people are there, which is good news for the monarchy. And you look at her hand and think, how many millions of hands has she shaken over the years, 64 years? And it's just, I think that, you know, William was saying this week that he wants to be relevant as a monarch. Who could be more relevant than the Queen, you know? I mean, the amazing things she's done and seen. She's probably known every great statesman for the last, 64 years. And she's had 12 prime ministers. Nobody's more experienced or knows more, I think, than the Queen does.
They really are. The Queen, I was surprised to hear, like £6 umbrellas from the East End of London. Oh. She's quite frugal.
Yes, and she's still using the Queen Mother's old umbrellas too. But the thing I notice is she's always wearing black shoes and black handbag, no matter what colour she's wearing. I mean, most
don't have to worry about matching it, do you? That's the thing.
No, I suppose so. She says they're comfy.
We were saying as well, Kate, just how, I mean, she has to wear comfy shoes, the amount of travelling she does.
Well, the Queen is an incredible traveller. We worked out that she's been around the world 42 times, and she's been to 116 countries, 265 visits. I mean, when you look at the Queen's travel, it's particularly in the 70s and 80s when she was travelling the most because air travel was the easiest, and she was in such good health. She'd move between different countries every 2 days, and this is obviously partly a pleasure, but also she sees it as a great part of her duty to enhance the role of Britain and also create ties of diplomacy and tourism and culture.
Well, Jeff and I were discussing what she carries on in her handbag. No one knows. We do know she doesn't carry money, and she doesn't have a passport.
Oh, she does carry money.
Oh, she does carry money.
When she goes to church.
Oh, right, OK.
£5, £10 to put on the plate.
But apart from that,
there's spectacles and a speech
and a compact,
a handkerchief.
So there are genuine treats for the corgis and dorgies maybe in there?
If she's around, they have treats for the corgis. Sometimes there is some emergency fruitcake in case one gets a little bit tired.
Listen, what is it that has made her iconic? It surely can't be just the length of her reign. What is it about this woman in particular, do we think?
I think it's because she stays above politics. She stays out of all the party political nonsense. And the fact that she doesn't in any way seem political helps, because if we had a president, the president would be a politician. And I think it shows us that it's much better to have a constitutional monarchy than have an expensive president.
Yes, we're not here for a discussion about republic versus monarchy. But following on from that, Kate, I mean, a lot of discussion right now, finally, on the men who will follow in her footsteps.
Yes.
She set the bar incredibly high.
Yes, I think that's what we were saying, wasn't it? That she is politically neutral, she's dutiful, she's hard-working. One of her courtiers once said that the Queen likes going through red boxes in the same way that I enjoy sort of an indulgence, sort of like a long hot bath or something like that. She really does enjoy her duty, and she's so devoted. So, and in terms of neutrality as well, it does set the bar very high for what's expected of those who are coming after her. And it is a tough job. I mean, I follow her around, not as much as Judy, but sometimes, and I just find
it's just hard to follow her
how much work she's doing.
Thank you both very much indeed for sharing your